All hearts and minds clear. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Blessed be the name of Yahweh. Total Abiyah for another Shabbat day. Total for keeping us alive. Total for your love, your kindness. Total for your mercy. Your mercy endures forever and ever. Total Abba for your Torah, your set apart word. And total Abba for waking us up to the truth. Abba asked that we would not count it as a light thing, but give us the strength to live every day for you and no one else. Abba asked that you may forgive us for the wrong that we have done against you. Please forgive us for our sins as we forgive those who have sinned against us. Abba asked that we would not store hatred within our heart, but cause us to love one another and cause us to love you with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our might. And Abba asked that you may open up our hearts so that we may hear your word, and ask that we will not just be hearers of the word, but we will be doers also. Abba asked that you may touch the hearts of those who are bringing forth the lessons on this Yom, this day, and ask that you may put your words within their mouth. And Abba asked that you may also use your servants, your people, to bring insight, to ask questions, to make comments. Abba asked that you may give us all the opportunity to work together. Abba asked that you may remove fear from us, but ask that the only fear that we have is the fear of you. Abba asked that we would not be afraid of sickness or poverty. Abba asked that we would not be afraid of the government or the powers to be. Abba asked that we would not be afraid what man could do unto us. Abba asked that we will only fear you. Abba asked that you may give us a new heart, a new life, so that we could be presented to you as righteous men and women before your face. And Abba asked that you may continue to cleanse us from the filthiness of this world. Give us wisdom to shut off bad habits and everything that is not of you. Abba asked that you may remember the fatherless, the widow, the orphan, and those who are in prison. And I ask that for being your will, you may use us to help those who are afflicted, to help those who are weak. Abba asked that those who have resources and those who are strong will use what you have blessed them with to help others. Abba asked that they will give back to you, for you are a giving and loving Elohim. Abba asked that you may hear this tefillah, this prayer for being your will, and ask that you may bless us with the strength to endure to the end as we seek your face, as we seek everlasting life. Blessed you are, Yahweh. Blessed is your name, Yahweh, and blessed he that comes in the name of Yahweh in truth. Amen, amen.
All right. Shabbat Shalom, Mr. Ka. Shabbat Shalom. This is our language portion, and we've incorporated back into this part of the service, the culture and the language. And so today for the language, I figured I would just kind of go a quick review on the alphabet and the Nakuds, and then give a little bit of history about where we are today in the language, the written language. Let me share screen real quick. All right, can y'all see that?
Can
y'all hear me?
Okay.
All right, can y'all see the alphabet chart?
Okay.
All right. So this is a Hebrew alphabet chart that goes from the Paleo up to the modern, right? And so we see what we call the Paleo, or the very ancient script, is right here where my cursor is, right? And then you got the whole alphabet all the way down from Aleph to Tav, right? And then we see here, we get the next iteration of the Hebrew written script is what we call the early Hebrew or ancient, right? And you see that script. And Morey Samak has already covered it pretty thoroughly. This is probably the script. More than likely, this is the script that our ancient ancestors wrote and read in. All right, and then it migrated. They call it a language migrations. It's not really a morph, it's just a migration, right? And so the next migration of the written script, Hebrew script, we see is the Middle Hebrew. And we see that that's between the 1500s and 500 BC. And then moving on further, we see the Late Hebrew, and that's from 500 BC to about 500 AD. And then we come to what we're using today, the commonly used Hebrew script, written script today is what we call the modern or biblical Hebrew script. And that's from 500 AD to the present. All right. And all of these they're not really morphs. We'll get into the language morphs, morphisms a little bit later, but these are just what we call migrations. They're migrations of the written language, the written script. All right. Now I want to show you this is just to show you that this is kind of the script that our ancient ancestors would write and read in. You see that there's no nakuds, and it's in that early ancient Hebrew. All right. And this is the script. No nakuds, none of the vowel pointing systems. Our ancestors really, from what research I've done, our ancestors could tell if like that aleph is supposed to be a consonantal aleph, or if it was supposed to be a vowel aleph. They, based on the content, the context of the script, or where it fit into the word, they would know if it was a consonantal aleph or a vowel aleph, for example. The same thing with the ayin. And then, you know, when we move into the modern typically will always use that aleph. If it's not vowel pointed, they will almost always use it as a silent consonantal vowel. All right. That's just the difference. I just wanted to come here. This is Genesis. Actually, this is the Tanakh in Hebrew. And I think I put it on the website. Don't quote me on that. I think it's on the website if you want to check it out. But I just wanted to show you what our ancestors probably read and wrote in this type script. All right. Moving on. Come on, pull up. Bear with me. Internet's kind of slow here. We're on our hotspots. All right, come on, pull up. I don't know if it's going to pull up. All right, there we go. Here we go. Tell you what. Let's just go to the website. Maybe we can get it from the website. Everything's pulled. It's very slow. But anyway, where I was going with to show you the nakuds. All right, the nakud vowel pointing system. Those are those dots and the lines that you see next to the consonants, the letters, or under the letters. And then when we get into the holum, that dot, a lot of times you'll see it's over the consonant, right? But how we came to that is what they call the Masoretic nakud vowel pointing system. And it was kind of established by the Masoretes around the 5th to the 10th century AD, after, well, Anno Domini, but after Christ's death. All right. And so the real purpose was that when the Masoretes came together to pray, you know, communal prayer like we do on our morning prayer line and our afternoon prayer line, when we're praying, when we gather together, so that the Hebrew being read or prayed is consistent across those that are speaking it, those that are reading it, and those that are praying it, so that we all say it the same way. That's why they came up with the Nakud system. And so you hear some people say, well, this is not real Hebrew. It's real Hebrew. It's just more in a different dialect, and they're using a vowel pointing system so that they pronounce each word the same way. You know, like we'll hear some people say Yahweh, some people say Yahuwah, some people say Yehovah, Yahuwah, right? Well, the Masoretes said, we want to do it so everybody is saying the same word the same way, right? And it does, it cuts down on confusion. And so if to say that it's not real Hebrew, it's not the ancient dialect that we spoke, but it is Hebrew in a different dialect, all right? That's what I was trying to pull up. Did it ever? I'll stop share. Toda More. All right, Maurice Mock is going to pull it up on his share. And I just want to show you the chart. Can y'all see that? Yeah. All right. So if you look at if you look at the blocks all the way to the right, if you look at the blocks all the way to the right, in this area right here, this is that vowel pointing system. You see the line under there, the patak, that's what the patak, and it just makes that consonant, how to pronounce it. Gives it that ah sound, as in yak, right? And I'm not going to go through all of them, but this is that Masoretic vowel pointing system, the Nakud vowel pointing system that the Masoretes came up with, which was pretty much adopted and used in modern Hebrew, what we use today, in modern Hebrew today, all right? But remember, this system was developed between 500 and to present, 500 AD to present was when this was developed. There was more Hebrew dialects that were prevalent, but this one kind of survived. And if you go into the history, they say that the Hebrew language died, kind of like Latin, right? Nobody really speaks Latin anymore. They say Hebrew language died, but it didn't really die. So when the Masoretes, I'll just use it that way, when the Masoretes started to come back together, they started to worship together, the Hebrew language, they say, was revived, all right? And that's why it became the popular Hebrew dialect, all right? And so everybody is now that's reading, writing, speaking globally Hebrew is now really using the modern Hebrew, all right? But there are so many more dialects. Just to name a few, modern, which we're studying, is sometimes called the Israeli dialect, all right? Then we have the Ashkenaz, which is more Euro-German, and sometimes they call that the medieval Hebrew, all right? And then you have Sephardic Hebrew, and they say that the Sephardic Hebrew is influenced by Spanish language, Portuguese language, Arabic language, all right? And well, I'll touch on the Arabic here in a second. Then they got the Yemeni dialect of Hebrew, Yemenite. And then they have the Mizrahi Hebrew dialect. And mainly this dialect, the Mizrahi, is influenced by Arabic. And what they're saying is when you go into the linguistic study, that it's more aligned to the ancient Hebrew than a lot of these other Hebrew dialects, all right? And then you got Tiberian and a few more, all right? But those are dialects of Hebrew. It's the same way we speak English up north, and I won't call it a dialect, but the inflections and the way we pronounce those things are different up north, Midwest, down south, and then, you know, like east. We're using the same word, but we're pronouncing them a little bit different. All right. Get a sip of water here. Pardon. All right. I need to go back to my share. Toda. Any questions? This was not a language alphabet study. This is not the alphabet study. I just wanted to get a little bit of history, kind of refresh our memories on the alphabet and the Nakus. Okay. All right, I'm gonna share screen again. I want to go to another screen.
I do have a question as you're transitioning.
Hopefully it'll pull up.
Zaqan.
Okay, and the last note on the alphabet, the modern Hebrew, and all of that is we're learning the modern Hebrew. This is what's commonly spoken in the land of Israel. All right, now today. All right, and we're trying to learn that. But if you go to some of these apps and some of these other sites, you might be learning Ashkenazi Hebrew. You might be learning Sephardi Hebrew, and it's going to sound a little different than what we're teaching at True Light. I'm not saying it's wrong, it's Hebrew. And just like some dialects of Spanish, Puerto Rican Spanish is a little bit different than Mexican Spanish, right? But ultimately they can figure out what each other is saying. You know, the same way here. I'll just give you a quick example. I kind of grew up, well, I will call Cincinnati home. I was a military brat, so we traveled around the world a lot, but I grew up in Cincinnati. We say carry up north, right? And then when I would come down south for the summers with my grandmother, and you know, the kids in the neighborhood, we were going fishing, and they said tote the bucket. And I'm like, honestly, I was like, what do you mean tote the bucket? What is tote? I don't know what tote is, you know, and they're looking at me like, oh, what's wrong with you? I didn't understand what tote meant. You know, if he'd have said carry, I got you. But when he said tote, it kind of threw me. All right. And that's kind of like an example of different dialects. All right. If you look up tote in the English dictionary, it's going to tell you to carry, to bring, you know what I mean? It just wasn't familiar to me. All right. All right. I'll tell you what, I want to go to Blue Letter. And I hope it pulls up. Where's my Blue Letter? Do you have Blue Letter on? Can you pull your Blue Letter up real quick? Sorry. Still trying to figure out this laptop. It's new to me. I had all this pulled up before I came. All right, I think I did. I think I stopped sharing. And this we're gonna go through here kind of quick. Talmudini Breed, get ready to read. We're gonna go to Shemot 20. We're going to Shemot or Exodus chapter 20. See it pulled. Oh, that's yours. That's yours. I was like, what? It pulled up. Let's see. What I do. I want to go to Exodus space 20. All right. Talmudini Breed, get ready to read. Before we go into, we're getting ready to go into the culture. But before I go into the culture, are there any questions about the language, the alphabet, the Nakud, the different dialects? Any questions?
Zaqan, Adam Mikael had his hand up.
Okay. All right. Shabbat Shalom, Elder Michael. Floor is yours.
Shabbat Shalom. I have a question about the Nakud.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, Cain. I have a question about the Nakud. So,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
on that sheet, that
Can you hear me now?
is it Cain?
Oh.
I can hear
Y'all
you
hear?
guys. Can you hear
Okay, now
me?
we hear you. Yeah, now we hear you.
Okay.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. So I was asking a question about the Nakud.
Yes.
Um, when I'm looking at the sheet, the sheet where the Nakuds are, on that handy Hebrew alphabet sheet.
Okay.
That first one when it says the patat and the komets, could you make those two sounds for me? Because it's kind of like I don't when I'm trying to make them, it's like I'm making the same sound, and I just need clarity on that.
Okay. And not to get too deep, but it is this. It's basically the same sound. The patak
Okay, it is the same
and
sound.
the kamat.
Uh-huh.
Right. It's basically going to make the same sound.
So it's
There
that
is right. Ah.
ah.
And you see that?
Okay,
Right.
okay. So whenever
Yeah.
I see it, it's the same sound.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
correct? Okay, okay. Kane, Toda.
And the reason for the vowel point also sometimes it's not just going to be the sound of the letter itself, but you have what you call short vowels and long vowels. So one of them will represent a short, one of them will represent a long. So when we get to stuff like discussing the Shiwa and things like that, depending on a long vowel, short vowel, it would tell you if you will pronounce a Shiwa or not. So the fact that they may have the same sound, the fact that they may have a patak or komets will let you know what sound the Shiwa would make of the next letter, or whether it would join together or be silent. So that's part of the reason for it. So yes, it has the same sound, and sometimes the sound will be slightly different.
Kane.
All right. So now we're back to any more questions? It's up on my. There we go. All right. Yours is not touchscreen, right? I got to use the pad. All right. Okay. No more questions. We're gonna go into the culture portion, and I want to start off in Shemot or Exodus chapter 20. Aki Nathan, if you will read verses 1 and 2 in the Ibrit, and then Koti Shaquan is not here. Adon, you want to read 3 and 4?
That's fine.
All right. And then Koti Zamiria, we're going to jump down to 18 and 19. And then Koti Talia, if you read 20 and 21. And then Bat Zion, you read 22. All right. You ready? Verses 1 and 2.
Yaiqab Elohim et kol hadavarim ha'ile lemor.
All right. So start back at the first word.
Yaiqab.
All right. I can't see what you're looking at. All right. So, what's this word right here?
Yaiqab.
No, Yim.
Yaiqab.
Can y'all hear?
Yaiqab.
There you go.
Elohim
Right.
et
Kane, but can you use your cursor that's kind of so is there a reading to follow?
How's
Kane,
that?
Toda.
All right. So let's start over.
Yaiqab.
You're right.
There.
There you go. Yep.
Elohim et kol hadavarim
There you go.
ha'ile lemor.
All right. Let's do verse 2. I could,
Anoki,
yep.
Anoki, Yahweh, Eloheka, Asher, Asher,
Mm-hmm.
Ote,
That's all pronounced together.
Otetika,
Hoots.
Ote,
There you go. Keep going.
Otetika,
There you go.
Me'eret, Mish, Mitzrayim,
Mm-hmm.
Mi Beit,
Uh-huh.
Avadim.
Hallelujah. Toda Rabah. We'll read it when everybody gets through. Verse 3 and 4.
Lo, Yihye, Laka, Elohim, Akarim, Al, Panaya.
Verse 4.
Lo, Ta'ase, Laka, Fasel, Wakal, Tamuna, Asher, Bashamayim, Mima'al, Wa'asher, Ba'aretz, Mitakath, Wa'asher, Ba'mayim, Mitakath, La'aretz.
Hallelujah. Toda. All right. Now we're going to jump down to verse 18. How do I move this down? Just touch it and move? I'm trying to move it down to verse 18.
I can put a screen with it. It's all on screen, and you slide screen up and down.
Okay.
Would that be easier for like that text? Would that
would
be
be
easier?
good.
All right, y'all speak. I want more, Mr. McCall. Yeah. 'Cause I'm not gonna do Stroll now.
All right. All right. We're down to verse 18. Uh-oh. That's what you said.
He gonna scroll on his.
Uh-oh. How do I do it? Oh.
I can't see that. It's right here. Two fingers.
Oh, okay.
It's touchpad sensitive. So 2 fingers slide up. 1 finger will make you highlight.
All right.
So 2 fingers is how you slide it up. So you said 18?
18. All right. You ready?
Wakal, Ha'am, Ro'im, Et, Hakawolot, Hakwolot, Et, Halapidim, Wa'at, Quol, Hashafar,
What's that? What's that up there above it?
Hashofar,
There you go.
Wa'et, Hahar, Ashen, Wayara, Ha'am, Wayanu,
Okay.
Wayamadu,
amdu.
Oh,
Waya amdu.
amdu.
There you go.
May coke.
Hallelujah. You got it.
Wayoma Ru El Moshe Daber Ata Imanu Wanish, is it Wanish or Wanish Ma'a Wa'al Yadaber E. The English is not okay. Sorry, hold on. It's the message part. I can't see it. Okay. Wait, where am I?
Right here.
Okay. Imanu Elohim Pen Namu.
Hallelujah. I know that was a tough read. That was a good job. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Okay, 2 fingers. Koti Talia. There we go.
Just signed up.
Yeah. Is it moved? It moved, right?
No. What you trying to get to?
20 and 21.
All right, you there now.
All right.
Okay. Levavor, Nasot, Etkem.
You said 20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, start over. Okay. Levavor, Nasot, Etkem, Ba.
Yeah,
Starts out.
it starts right here.
Where? Okay. Wayomer, Moshe, Al-A'am, El-A'am, Al-Tirahu, Ki, Lavavor, Nasot, Etkem, Ba, Ha-Elohim, Hubavor, Ye, Yor, Ato, Year, Ato, Al, Fenekem, Levilti, Tahu. That's right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hallelujah.
Wayamod, Haham, Miracle, Moshe, Negash, Al, Harafel, Asher, Shem, Elohim.
Share what?
Sham. Asher Sham, Elohim.
Hallelujah. Toda Rabbi. Good reading. Good reading. And I'm kind of taking them out of their comfort zone. These are verses that they haven't really read through yet in the Hebrew. So Toda, good job. Good job, everybody. And Batzion, if you take 22.
Wayomer Yehua El Moshe Kol Taomar El Banim. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. El Banei Yisrael Atem Re'item Ki Min.
You said you pronounced that one already?
Ki.
You pronounced this one already?
Can you hear me?
All right.
Okay.
King.
Okay. Ki min hashamayim devarti imakem.
Hallelujah. Toda Rabbi, everybody. Good reading. Good reading. Now let's go back go back to the English, and then I'll get to the close. All right. So, how do I get rid of that?
Get rid of what? That's what be throwing me off every time. I don't know how to get rid of it.
There we go. All right. So we all know this, right? And so verse 1 and 2, what Nathan read was, and the Most High spoke, and Elohim spoke all these words, saying, I am Yah, thy Elohim, who brought thee out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Elohim before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee a graven image, nor any manner or of likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in earth beneath, or that is in the water underneath the earth. And then we went down to verse 18, right? No real breakdown. I just want you to, before we go forward, who spoke all these words? Anybody? Who spoke all these words? Yah, Elohim spoke all these words. The children of Israel heard that voice from the mount, right? It wasn't Moshe speaking. It was the Most High speaking. It was Elohim. Yah was speaking. So who spoke all these words? Yah spoke all these words. Now let's go down to 18. All right, and it says, now this is after the Most High has spoke all these words. They heard the Most High's voice, or the voice the Most High was using so they could understand it. After they heard that, this is what they said. And the people stood afar off, but Moshe drew near unto the thick darkness where the Most High was, right? So they were afraid. They were afraid. They saw the thunder and the lightning, and then they heard, remember, this is something that they never saw before. They've never seen another mighty one speak with its own voice, right? They never seen that before. They never seen the thunder and the lightnings like that, and then the voice coming out of that cloud that they can actually hear. They were scared, right? And so, especially what the Most High was saying to them, they've done all that the Most High is saying, don't do. Okay, so they're scared. They might be thinking this is Judgment Day. You know what I mean? And so they said, Moshe, we can't take it no more. We're scared to death. We might die if he keeps speaking to us. You go speak to him, right? And so now we're at 18. And the people stood afar off, but Moshe drew near unto the thick darkness where the Most High was. And Yah said unto Moshe, thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, ye yourselves have seen that I have talked with you from Shamayim, right? So the question again is, who is telling Moshe what to say to the children of Israel? These are the Most High's words. These are the Most High's words, right? And so the point I'm trying to make here is that this is cultural to us, Yisrael. The cultural portion of that, this is, the Most High hasn't dealt with any other nation, any other culture like this.
Right.
He has not dealt with any, they haven't heard the Most High speak. I mean, we haven't, but our ancestors have, and they wrote it down for us, right? But he hasn't dealt so with any other nation. This is unique to Yisrael. And really what he's doing is he's given us a way of life. He's given us a way of life. He is establishing our culture from his mouth and what he instructed those that speak for him what to say, right? And so it's kind of like, just to give a little comparison, it's kind of like science, right? Biology, chemistry, and even mathematics fall under science, right? So science would be the culture, and then the subcultures under that would be the biology, the chemistry, and even mathematics. And we know that all of those kind of mesh. There's mathematics in biology, right? There's chemistry in biology. They kind of cross each other, but they all fall kind of under science, right? The same thing with our culture, right? The Most High gave us Torah. That's our culture. And then what has happened during our scattering, these other nations have their own quote unquote cultural. And in their culture, they have their own quote unquote religion. And what they've done is they've taken from Torah, our culture, and fashioned it to their culture. And now when we're scattered amongst them as a punishment, some things in their culture sounds familiar, feels familiar, because they borrowed it from our culture. And we kind of fall into that trap. We kind of fall into that trap of following them in their culture. The Most High didn't tell them how to live. Eventually, the point is we all gonna live Torah, the whole earth, but the Most High set Israel apart in this culture so that they could show the rest of the nations what this life looks like, what benefit this life is. When the righteous is in authority, the world, the people are in rejoice, they rejoice. But when the wicked is in, then the whole earth mourns. They're not happy, all right? And so I'm gonna close with this. I wanna go to Isaiah, Yeshaya, chapter 8. I don't know how to get there from, Sorry, Maury. Yeshaya chapter 8 and verse 19. And I'll close with it, but just keep that in mind, Mishpachah. We are in a different culture right now. We're captive, and we have to navigate in a different culture. And that culture's religion, I'm speaking specifically America because I don't really know all the other nations, but Christianity is the real religion of the world, followed by Islam and then, Buddhism and all of that. But Christianity is specifically America's religion. It's not their culture, it's their religion. All right? Christianity is their religion. And they've taken some bits of our culture, which is detailed in our scriptures, and they've adopted some of those things in their culture as part of their religion. All right. And we can see it. I don't want to go into too much detail, but we can see where they placed JC as their God. And really, they've given Shaul, Paul, authority over the word of Mashiach. They can read what Mashiach said, but if Paul says something different, which he doesn't, but because the Most High is not dealing really, the Most High hasn't given them that culture, they twist, like James said, they twist what Paul is saying because the culture that Paul grew up in is foreign to this American, European culture that's trying to live the scriptures in their culture. I don't want to confuse you that way, but and then we get kind of stuck into that because it's under the title of Bible and religion, all right? And we kind of get sucked into that, and we listen to what they say instead of what the Most High says. The Most High said, Most High spoke all these words, the first 10 commandments, and then he specifically told Moshe what to say to Israel. And he hasn't done that with any other nation. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when we're immersed in these other nations, these other cultures, and they're telling us from their cultural perspective, but we got to remember what the Most High said to us. All right. And so I want to close with Isaiah, Yeshaya, chapter 8, and starting at verse 19. And we're not going to go into Hebrew. And it reads, "And when they shall say unto you, seek unto the ghosts and the familiar spirits that chirp and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their mighty one, their God, on behalf of the living unto the dead?" That's posing that question, right? And then verse 20 says, "For instruction and for testimony." He's giving the comparison, right? And then surely they will speak according to this word wherein there is no light. And they shall pass this way that are sore bestead and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse by their king and by their mighty one and whether they turn their face upward. This is a little bit different than the KJV version. Kind of throw me off just a little bit, but we there, I can see it. Verse 22. Verse 22 says, or look unto the earth, behold, distress and darkness, the gloom of anguish, the outspread thick darkness. All right, so the King James Version says a little bit, what it says is to the law and to the testimony, right? If they speak not of these words, then there's no light in them, right? And so that's the point being, no matter who is speaking, and we've been immersed into this culture, this Christianity speech, but if they're not speaking the words to the law and to the testimony, then it's not the words of the Most High, and there's no light in it. There is no light in it. They can sound good, they can look good, they can put on a good show, and they can even go to certain scriptures and twist them like James said, people do with Paul's writings, and it sounds good and it draws us in. But if we go back to the law and back to the testimony, Torah and Tanakh, then if what they're saying doesn't line up with that, there's no light in it. There is no light in it. And if we stick to the law and the testimony, then we can't be snared and trapped. We got to come out of that. We got to come out of that. This is the foundation of our culture. We know that. Torah, Tanakh is the foundation of our culture. The words of the Most High. The Most High spoke all these words, and then he said, Moshe, these are the words that you shall say to the children of Israel. That's our culture. No matter how good everything else looks, and no matter how much they borrow from our culture, if it doesn't line up with what the Most High said, or what Moshe said to the Yisrael, what the Most High told them to say, and then the testimony, those prophets, if the prophets, if somebody is, I don't want to get too much into it, but you know, when you get into the book of Chazon and Revelation, there's going to be many that's coming in the name, and are going to do mighty wonders and feats, and is going to lead astray many people. That's a warning to us, right? It's going to look real. That image is going to be given power, and it's going to lead people away, and it's going to say blasphemies against the Most High. But if we go back to the law and the testimony, and if that image is not saying what the law and the testimony is saying, we avoid it at all costs. All right, that's our culture. And they've borrowed from our culture, and it snares us. They were doing that before they had slaves. And then when they freed the slaves are kind of being inducted into their culture, which is a trap and a snare and a punishment. And our duty is to go back to the law and the testimony and reconnect with our culture. That's pleasing to the Most High. That's righteousness. Shabbat Shalom. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Great culture portion, great culture portion. But Mishpachah, I know a lot of times people may feel like we spend, again, a long time in lessons and we put a lot of details into what we're presenting. And sometimes it starts sounding like we talk about the same thing over and over again. That's writing on your heart. Saying something over and over again helps you retain it, because we all read the word. And as Zaqan just said in the culture portion, culturally, we're supposed to know what it says and we're supposed to do what it says. There are people that using bits and pieces of it and they're twisting it, and they sound good, they look good. And when he went to Chazon, he said he wasn't gonna get all the way into it. But there's other scriptures that say Israel, the people, they want to require a sign.
Right.
The Most High sign giving them more to you than the sign of Jonah. You know what I'm saying? Y'all always want to see something. So we're coming up on times, and y'all can see the world is changing. And when it gets to the part where it says, be not partakers of a plague, as it says in Revelation also, meaning you got to buy and sell, you got to go to them for everything, for want of all things. And now you got to say, well, I need this stuff, So do I give in to what's going on to get what I need, or do I trust in Yah? So then when this image comes and is now giving people stuff and have the worship changing to pattern and fashion after he wants while using part of the word of the Most High, giving people blessings and appears to be blessings, and you're like, man, I'm hungry over here, but I'm gonna trust in Yah like my forefathers did that was hiding out in caves. That's why you study the word to know culture, because you're supposed to be able to identify that's something false. They're gonna put a whole lot of pressure on us to try to crack us, to make us break. The enemy wanted us from the beginning of the time, and he still wants us. So Yah wants us to be able to know. That's why we said last night, study to show yourself approved. Meditate on this word. Therefore, when something comes forth, as it said in Deuteronomy, if a prophet says something and it comes to pass, whoop-be-doo. But if that prophet tell you to serve another God, I don't care how much he's prophesying and it's coming to pass, don't follow that prophet. Okay. Thank you for the warning, but nope, I don't want your religion. You said it was gonna rain, it's gonna rain, and it rains. Well, it rained. Right. But you say we don't have to keep Shabbat no more? Get out my face with that. I'm not gonna follow you though. I'm listening to what you say sometimes, and okay, it came to pass. All right, you got some little gift either from the Most High or the dark side, but you're not gonna get me to follow you. You know, and that's why we have to be in this word, study to show yourself approved. And that's why I always say, well, I'm in my right Ruach, and I'm trying to teach you how to study the word. Most High forbid, Most High forbid, Most High forbid. Please don't put the spirit of darkness on me. But if I go to the dark side, I'm trying to teach you while I'm in the light, not to follow me into darkness. And I've been teaching that for years, have I not? Study to show yourself approved, because whenever someone is now starting to tap into something that's not of Yah, no matter how charismatic they or we may be, no matter what gifts we or they may have, when we start to turn away from the Most High, you're supposed to be able to identify that because you're studying to show yourself approved and you know your culture. Know it, know it, know it. No man has the authority to change the word of Yah. So Zaqan, great culture study, great language study. And real quick, since he went into the language, again, we don't get into battling dialects, saying who dialect is right, who dialect is wrong. We're studying all dialects and just trying to know when people use certain terms, we're trying to be able to hear what they're saying, to be able to identify for ourselves. However, Zaqan said that everyone borrows from our culture and they utilize it, then we start receiving from them. Even now in our community, people's more so, and the reason why we're teaching it is because when you go to other Knessets and they're saying certain things, you won't understand it if we're not teaching it the same way that the majority is teaching it. However, we're teaching it that way, but we will be teaching it our preferred way as well, because that Masoretic Nakud vowel pointing system that everybody's giving more credit to, brothers are now to the point where they discredit their own brothers who've been in the walk for years, because now they're saying, well, y'all ain't speaking the real Hebrew, because now they're taking the same historical evidence that Zaqan has presented, they know also, but because now people with doctorates and certain things behind their name is crediting what they're doing, and it sounds like, you know, we fit up there with them now. That's not what Moshe and them was speaking. It just simply, they didn't use the Nakud vowel point system. You know, I'm not saying I know exactly how they sound, but I do know, as he said, the language has morphed. It has taken on different sounds. They want to tell you something died out. Why they want to tell you something died out? So that also while they're still doing things that's somewhat right, they can slip in some things. Like I said, how is it that we went into last Shabbat Eve, these are the names of the children of Israel. And those names, when you read them in Hebrew and you bring them over to the phonetic sound, bring it over to English, you can kind of identify when you hear those names. But when it comes to the Most High, it's the Lord. When it comes to the Messiah, it's Jesus. You see what I'm saying? Why does don't sound the same? Why does the Most High's name change with so many different vowel points throughout the text? Yehovah, Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, you know, they pronounce it Yahweh, and that one still gets me, not judging anyone that uses it, but, you know, just from grammar rules within themselves, it's not even an E vowel at the end of the word, so where do we get Yahweh from? And that's what they teach on a collegiate level, so that is also a push, you know, and now some of the brothers even gravitate and they push that, you know, and they switch to that, not judging that. I'm just saying that for me in my house, you know, I'm just trying to teach us all these ways. If someone uses Yahweh, sometimes I use it right back to them as not to cause division or anything. But it'd be hard sometimes for me to use one that I don't use. But it's easy for me to say, if somebody say Yehovah, Zabao, because I can still see where they're getting Yehovah from. But Yahweh is different for me, you know. So again, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, so that's why we study the way that we do. And again, if anyone is online that views in and tunes in with us, we only presented information. So again, as Adon Michael asked earlier about the sound that the Kwamets and the Batak makes, At the end of the name of the Father, it is not a Sagor, which makes the E or the E sound. That's not at the end of Yod Hey Wah. It's not even vowel pointed that way. What is there is a patat or kwametz. You can look at it for yourself. So now that you've studied the information that they give you online and all places, and they're saying this is the Masoretic Nakud vowel point system, then if your Nakud is a ah sound, Nakud at the end, then why are you giving me the E ending? That's all I'm saying. It's not that we're judging anyone. We're just studying to show ourselves approved. Workmen and women need not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay. So with that's just a little nugget thrown in. But again, it's not judgment. That's just the reason why we don't judge what other people say, because based upon who's teaching them. And there's some people like right now, we have those that really want to tune in and learn Hebrew, and some just enjoy listening as we presented information, because it's not a commandment that everybody has to learn Hebrew. Okay. We need to be learning righteousness. So as you try to ruach by the ruach, and you're sitting in some place, some people are going to say, if that's what they say, because they study the language, that's how we're going to pronounce it. But then you have those people that's doing that, and they know the congregation don't know, so then they'll teach them a lie on top of that. And then when someone that's now learned is presenting the truth to everyone, hey, there are different dialects. You may even hear me and Zaqan Yaiqab sound different on the way we pronounce some words, because I try to blend into a point where wherever I go, I sound like different people at different times. Sometime at Sukkot and feast when multiple gather together. Sometime I pray in Yahawadah, Yahuwah. I try to make sure everyone feels connected because it's the same name. It's just a dialect or the way we're pronouncing one vowel. One vowel sound is what we're pronouncing differently, all right? So with that great cultural portion, again, we're not saying that we think that we're right about everything. We're just presenting information for everyone to be able to study for themselves whenever they want to look into it. And at any time, y'all can ask us for our sources and information and points of research. But also, I will say, certain statements that we're making for people that's on a certain level. So if you were just at the beginning level, don't say, well, where can I get that information from, Moray? You don't need that information. Okay. It ain't for you to go into some of the stuff I just said. You don't even know the alphabet yet. Just ask me, what's that letter again? Don't ask me, well, can you give me the information you just talked about on Shabbat? No, I won't. Some people are babes, so stay in your lane. But to those who are already studying, you understand where I'm coming from. So with that, we give all praise, all honor, all esteem to the let no man or woman mislead you. We all make mistakes. It's when y'all even correct us when we make mistakes. When we're reading the text, when we're reading Hebrew, that's why we all read along, because sometimes we even misread something that's written and we correct one another. So we're trying to teach everyone how to know Yah for themselves, all right? And we all hold each other accountable. So with that, I now yield the floor to Adon Kanaka for his 2-minute warning. Hallelujah.
Yeah.